Hi, loves. Welcome to a new episode of AW Confidential. I'm so grateful to do what I do. Every interview offers an opportunity to connect with our community and learn from our guests. Today's guest says that community is the foundation of a great brand, and I completely agree. Zoila Darton is Panamanian, Jamaican, and Jewish. The founder of Word Agency is building spaces for people of color by using cultural storytelling. She is also the host of Feel Everything podcast. She is the creative director of Word, and she has worked with big brands like HBO, Nike, Converse, Meta, Rare Beauty, Shea Moisture, Plant Parenthood, and many more. The list is really long. Zoila, welcome, love. I'm so excited to have you here. I can't contain myself.
Hi, Yvette. Oh my God. It's so wild to hear like the trajectory of your career spoken back to you.
A lot of guests say that.
I'm
And
so
it's
happy to be here. Thank you for having me on and making me feel like I matter.
oh my
As
gosh,
you
what?
know, entrepreneurship
Girl,
is real lonely. And sometimes you're just going through the motions and you don't even think about like, wow, I
the
really
journey,
did that.
right?
We really did that. Like my team and me really, really, really have been doing this for almost 7 years now.
But 7 years,
Great.
listen, you're a baby. You have so much to go,
Oh,
and
girl, I know. I'm ready.
I I want to say congratulations because I have read about your journey, and I feel I feel your joy because I get it. Like you were, in this job that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I want to go back a little bit before we go before we talk about current space.
I'm with
In
it.
an in an interview, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but in an interview on Latina to Latina podcast, which is
I
one of
knew
my
you were going
favorite
to bring this
podcasts,
up.
Alicia Menendez is absolutely amazing.
Alicia's the bomb, a queen among queens.
Ah, so you briefly talked about, and I won't make it too hard for you, but you briefly talked about identity being a separate silo. And you said that there is no one way to be Latina, which is it's powerful. It's such a simple statement, but there's so much behind that. So I wanted to ask you, what does it mean for you to be Latina and how do you express your Latinidad?
Oh my gosh. So I just want to say I loved that interview with Alicia. It was to date one of my greatest honors to sit and be interviewed by her. She's such a master. So Alicia, thank you so much. You're a queen. This question right now in this moment, what's today? Today's October 2nd, 2023. This question is actually very loaded for me right now because as we are in, Latina, Hispanic heritage, Latinx heritage month, whatever you want to call it, I'm feeling a lot of things around my identity, around what it means to be Latina, what it means to claim that personally, and what it means to feel or be included in the community at large, right? As you know, the work that I've done has been living in this space of like multicultural, but with a heavy emphasis on celebrating and really like discovering powerful Latina people that are out there making and paving a way for what it looks like for them to be Latinx or Latina or Latino, whatever you want to call it. Um, and that was not necessarily my goal with the brand or with Word. It's where we ended up. My goal was always to create space for people to show up as their fullest selves. But I ended up being, in this space of Latinas because there weren't a lot of people doing it at the time. I founded Word in the end of 2017. Um, I've been doing a lot of thinking about my own Latinidad. And last week, I was very close to denouncing it. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh, wow.
I was very close to saying I'm Panamanian and Jamaican, but I don't know if I'm Latina. Um, and it has nothing to do with the actual culture because our culture is so rich, as especially as Caribeñas, right? Like as Black women, as women of color, you know, our culture, our sabor really shapes what Latinidad looks like at large. However, we don't see ourselves. Other people don't see ourselves, rather. Other people don't see us visibly, right? So when it comes to my Latinidad internally, yes, you know, like I have my family in Panama. Um, you know, I have a million cousins. They all speak Spanish, they'll speak and English, right? Like I had family that lived on Utica Ave in New York, right? Like that's that real Caribbean, um, you know, Eastern Parkway community. And so for me, I think being Latina just means like culture, right? It just means community. It means embracing and feeling powerful and feeling strong, right? And it's music and it's food and it's all of those things.
Ooh, I got chills. That's exactly what it means to me.
But it is not my full identity, right? And and I think that had I not become an entrepreneur, that unfortunately, as people of color, as women of color, we have been demoted because it is a demotion. We have been demoted to framing the work that we do under the umbrella of our culture because it's the only way that people want to show up for us, right? It's like, oh, she's a Black entrepreneur. She's a woman, a female entrepreneur. Like, let's celebrate
Yeah.
her. It's never like, oh, she's amazing at what she does. So
Ah,
I think had I never gone on this journey of entrepreneurship, I would have a very different relationship with my Latinidad because you know, I was very proud of it as a kid. Um, you know, it was just a different thing. It was just, this was just my family. It's who I am. But now having to move through the spaces that I've moved in and seeing what's happening to the legacy that I've built through the work that I've done on no money, like the brand work that we have done, the budgets are invisible compared to like what you probably may think as a layman that we get paid to do the stuff that we do,
yeah.
right? But to now see it co-opted in the media and with, you know, these established brands pulling out their own, you know, Latino Heritage Month campaigns and circumventing brand agencies like mine that have been doing the work and really on our backs for so long. And even when it wasn't attached to a brand, it was just like, this is just who we are. It's been really challenging for me to see where I even fit in like the community at large to the public, right? Like how the public sees us. And I never felt that way until I moved to LA. And I've talked about this a bunch of times on different podcasts, like the differences between being in New York and being in LA and just like how you're received or seen as part of Latina community.
Yeah.
So I'm really battling with it right now. I'm like, do I denounce this? Like, it's really hard for me to even celebrate this month. Like, I don't know that I subscribe to it anymore. Like I used to, and we're still doing some work for it, like in a very specific way. But like, it's very hard for me to look at our culture on the big screen on the world stage and feel like I'm a part of that.
But I think, the other thing that and thank you so much for being so honest and open about that. Um, I think this is part of the journey.
Oh
We're
yeah,
we're we never really get to to find like to finish getting our know ourselves. Like it's
mm-hmm.
all part of the process. So the fact that you're so vulnerable and you're so open to explore, and I almost feel like those dark spaces because no one wants
Absolutely.
to talk about it, but you're actually not only talking about it, you are, going on that journey and you're being so open about it. And I commend you for that because
Thank you.
that's something that I think, I'll say, no pun intended, the minority, like, not a lot of people do that. So, thank you for being so honest about it.
I
And
think,
you'll
yeah,
figure it out. We all eventually we do at some
you
point.
know what it is? It's like I have a very complicated relationship as well with um just Latino culture in general. Like as you probably know, I used to work in the Latin music business. My mother is still very, very, very much fully in it, and she's my white side,
Wow.
like that's, yeah, my black, my Panamanian Jamaican side, my dad, he's a jazz musician, and he almost like rebuked
I heard
Latin music.
I also, I think I heard you say it, but he didn't want you to speak in Spanish, right?
No, he was a black man who had an accent, was an immigrant, and it was the 80s, and he didn't want me to be treated the way that he had been treated in this country. And so he said, no, we're not going to speak Spanish in this house. She's American. I was born in Spain, like I wasn't even born here. So
Wow, so
I
you have all
love,
these dynamics,
yeah,
like,
what's crazy is that I freaking love being Latina. Like I really, really do, because there's this flavor that we have,
you have it though.
especially,
You have that energy though.
girl,
I
that's what
can't
I'm
lie.
saying. I'm like, I don't need to go around like
Claiming or
waving a flag
yeah.
and claiming this and that and whatever. Like I can be all the things. I can love, salsa and merengue, and also love like Seinfeld, like hardcore. It's funny
Hey,
because
I love Seinfeld.
they're Jews and I'm a Jew. That's like the funny part. But you know what I
My
mean?
favorite
That's the thing.
show.
But I feel like we have gotten so comfortable with dancing on a table for attention, to say I'm Latina, pay me, that now if you don't do that in our own community, like you're not good
Authentic.
enough, or you're not,
Yeah.
you're going to be left out of opportunities and all of these things. So that's my complication with it, because listen, like every day I put on salsa. I listen to salsa every single day. I was just showing my little baby La India, right? Like teaching her how to yell at
Oh
men at 6
my
months.
god.
So like I love that part of being Latina, right? But then there's this other, and again, I go back to the fact that I work in the business, and it's similar to why I left music. It
Well,
ruined it
and
for me.
and I was gonna bring that up. Your experience and all our experiences are different, and they do impact us.
Yeah.
You spent years working in the music industry, and then you decide to start your own platform to share our stories,
Yeah.
or stories that reflect our community, our history. I can only imagine this must have felt like swimming against the tide, especially in the music industry and when you started. So today, your client list is, filled with these big brands that I mentioned, Nike and Meta and Rare Beauty and like all these amazing brands. And you are you're achieving success while staying true to yourself and telling the stories of our community. So kudos to you. I and back to that point, I believe that we grow up the way we grow up in our childhood experiences, and even our the experiences as we get older, shape us in so many different ways. So can you think of an event or a moment in your life that impacted you, helping you to embrace or understand the importance of sharing our stories? Why? Because I can tell from reading and watching you on interviews that it's important to you. It's something that it's really it's powerful when I listen to you. So was there anything that sort of led to that?
I mean, my whole life, I'm going to get emotional. I think my whole life has been me feeling like I'm misunderstood, right? I wouldn't say I'm a highly critical person, but I'm a highly intuitive person with a lot of things going on in my brain. And so I feel like the way that I perceived the world, as from a very young age, there was something that told me like, just be yourself. It doesn't fucking matter. So I truly never really tried to be somebody that I wasn't. And it shows in some of the outfits that I wore over time.
Oh, I gotta go back. I gotta go back and check to see if I can find some.
Pre-Instagram, sorry y'all, you're not gonna get those. Those are physical photos. But all jokes aside, like I always felt like I was kind of a fish out of water everywhere that I was, even in my own family, like my mother, God bless her, she's one of the most brilliant people I know. She's taught me so much. I love her, but like she was down to wear like dirty sweats all day. Like my mom is the type of woman that will go close like a multi-million-dollar deal in an outfit she just ran 8 miles in. Whereas me, I was from my first sentence, I was literally like 18 months speaking full sentences, my mom said. My first sentence, I might have been younger because it was in Spanish. We left Spain when I was 9 months. So maybe I was younger, but my first sentence was Zoila necesita zapatos. I've always felt like I was like almost like in a way born into the wrong family. I know that sounds terrible, but so
No,
for me,
trust
I
me, I
was
get it.
yeah, I think we all kind of get that. And it's okay, right? That's part of the journey, right? Is like figuring out I started reading Vogue and a lot of fashion magazines at a really young age. And I loved clothing. Like I loved Barbies. I like Clueless was like my favorite movie, like a weirdo. I loved musicals. I loved like Gone with the Wind, like anything that had to do with like rich fabrics. One of my favorite things to watch were actually flamenco videos, like old flamenco videos, because I
Oh, wow.
loved the movement, but I loved the texture and the way that the dresses and the skirts would move with the shoes and the fans and the castanets and all these things. So it was very, very, very into fashion, and Vogue, as as different as the magazine is now. When I was growing up, I was born in 85, that was the holy Bible. And all I wanted to do was work in fashion. I wanted to design clothes. But from the age of like 5 or 6, I remember not seeing myself in those magazines,
Mm.
not seeing curly hair. And even like, in media, I always loved movies. I was wanted to be an actor as well. Like I never saw myself. And I think that was kind of the moment where I was like, okay, like this is not cool. And so as I got older, I would intern, and I interned at some theaters for just to see what like acting and things like that was in high school. And after college, I actually went to college for fashion design originally. Um and yeah, so it was just from my love of style. I'm like have a weird obsession with Jackie Onassis, Coco
Oh,
Chanel, and
yeah.
Iman. Like I love
Uh,
those three women. I love their stories. Um, I that is what showed me what needed to happen, or what taught me that like people need to be able to show up and be their true selves, right? So that coupled with like feeling like I was constantly misunderstood. Um, yeah. I'm actually
so
writing I'm writing what I hope would be eventually a sitcom, but the opening scene is something that I didn't want to spill it because it actually is in this thing, but it is something that happened in my life when I was 7 years old, where in my head I was like, oh, I'm very different. And it was me and my mom, and like somebody asking my mom if I was her daughter type of thing.
okay.
Um, Yeah. And I think that if you trace back anybody that does the kind of work that we do, they have those moments, right?
Well, I have to give you again like props because I remember I had like a real identity crisis as a teenager. Here I was, Latina, brown, I was the other. And then I remember at some point, I can't remember how old I was, my mom took us on a vacation to DR, but over there, they were like, "Oh, where were you born?" US, New York. And they would say, "Oh, tú eres americana. You're not Dominican." So I was like, "Okay, I'm not from there. I'm not white, so I'm not truly American. So what, what the heck am I?" Like it was like this ping pong game of ping pong, and I felt that I had to assimilate. So
Ni de
yes,
aquí ni de
you,
allá.
or
Mhm.
the Oreo, whatever they call it. Um,
A
so
mulata, worse. Like a donkey? Like, literally.
just,
I used to
and
call
then
myself soy
we
mulato. Like, that
and
wasn't that's not cute.
and then you get older, and then I dated a lot of white men, and I remember, the thing was, "Oh, you're exotic." And at
Oh.
the time I thought that was cool. I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm exotic." But then you look up the definition of exotic in the dictionary, it's not really a compliment, is it?
Yeah, it's not something that you wanna call a human. It's more for, like, reserved for, like, fruit or, like, a trick.
So it's
I had a guy once tell me, "You're my first black girl," in the middle of sex in college.
oh my god,
Cool. His name was
it's
Mark. He's a loser.
but it's I mean, these are but this is I'm laughing about it because I feel like these are the stories that bring our community together. Like we
Mhm.
have so many common experiences, and do they look different? Yes, but there's a lot of overlap. And you've talked about how community is important to you, and you believe that community is the foundation of a great brand. And you create these campaigns that reflect diversity and inclusion, which is
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. You've really stayed true to, that vision, and we need more of that. So thank you for that. And I want to ask you an interesting question. So I love quotes. And Maya Angelou is one of my favorite.
I
She
mean,
was just so wise, and just
the
like
best.
she was powerful. And she had a complicated history herself. Now,
Mhm.
one of my favorite quotes, and I thought about you. She says, "Your legacy is every life you touch."
I know that quote.
So you are so young, you're still working on your legacy, but I want to ask, when you envision the future of Word, what do you hope to leave as your legacy to your children and ours as part of a better tomorrow?
Well, there's a couple things that I wanna do with this company. I would like to bring in someone else to do my job eventually, someone that I have been able to nurture and support and train and really see them blossom and be able to hand over the reins and be like, it's your turn. And that's not necessarily my kids, because that would mean that I would have to do this for 20 something years. And I'm not interested in that. So there's that piece. And then the other piece is what I'm working on now is transitioning into touching more lives through our stories, um, ideally in TV and film. And when I do that, not if, because I know that I will, when I do that, that will be the legacy, because I'll be able to tell all of our stories. I really want to tell the stories of mothers. I really want to tell the stories of, first generation immigrants, specific and first generation immigrant children, specifically of like the 80s and the 90s, right? Like I want to tell our stories. I never think of myself as first gen, but I am. My dad is from Panama. I never think about that, you know? And I think that a lot of us forget that we were kind of thrown into this arena of America, um, by parents that, just they just wanted something better for you and for them.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to tell all of those stories, and then I want to get into futurism. Like there's just so many things that I want to do. So that is, I think, ideally where the legacy will go.
And
So
I'm glad you mentioned mothers because being a mom is hugely important to you. I mean, it's important to all of us, but you voiced the importance. You're an entrepreneur and you're a mom of two.
yeah.
And you have also experienced burnout, which it's a real thing. I know sometimes, and I had a it was almost a nervous breakdown literally, but um it's a real thing. Like your mental health is huge. And
Yeah.
since we've been talking about community, I want to really quick just touch on how important has how has your personal community, because a lot of I think all entrepreneurs should or have a professional community. But how has your personal community played a role in this aspect of your life? And how has
Oh
having
my
that
gosh.
support improved your mental health, your success, and just bringing more joy to your life? Because I think personal community, we have to bring that up.
I mean, it's everything. I have been best friends with the same women since we were 13. Some of us,
What?
my oldest friend, Chelsea, we have been friends since we were 3. We lived across the hall from each other, and she's still one of my best friends. Her mother is still like my second mother. When my baby was born, Chelsea was here every single weekend taking care of our 5-year-old so we could drive to the hospital. I mean, I would not like exist if it weren't for my community. My mom chat, I have had the same mom chat for 6 years now. It is 3 of my best friends. One of them who I met through my husband when we were 22 because they went to art school together. And then the other 2 I have known since, one of them since I was 13 and the other one since I was 15. And the way that that chat actually came together is they all got pregnant before me. And we didn't have like anybody that like, they were like one of the first friends that I knew. And I was like, I'm putting you all in a chat. I'm going to be here and I'll join. Because eventually I'm going to become a mom. So here's the chat. And we have been going strong for 6 years. And when I tell you the life changes that all of us have gone through together in that chat, there's countless books to be written. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about storytelling when it comes to mothers, because I think something that this world has done to women that is the most heartbreaking, one of the most heartbreaking atrocities against women and against mothers is not giving us the opportunity to be our full multidimensional selves and show up in all the different ways that we're allowed to show up. Like I remember an ex-boyfriend of mine once told me when I was like mad young, I think I was like 21, I ran into him and I told him like kind of what my plans were for like my career. We had just, getting out of school. And he was like, why are you doing so many things? Why are you doing so much? From what I know about women, and I know, I think a good amount, not just because of myself, but because of my long-term friendships with so many of us, the level of intelligence, innovation, and creativity that exists inside of women, God, we literally construct human beings in our bodies, is such a threat to modern society that we have all been buried. And it hurts my heart to know that we're missing out on so much innovation because there are women that don't have the opportunity to express themselves fully. And so, would I be anywhere without the women in my life? I would be nowhere. They're like my lifeblood, and I hope that I am for them too. And I hope that, the feeling is mutual. And I think it is. It's been a long time.
I think so.
Like my best friend Paris from high school, she moved away to the South for college. And so she still lives down South. When we were in high school, she used to come to my house for Thanksgiving like every year. And this year she's coming all the way from South Carolina to spend Thanksgiving in my house in Long Island. We've been doing this since we were 13. I don't even know if that kind of connection exists anymore because we have so
Mm.
many obstacles that get in the way of true human connection. I thank God every day that I met my husband when I was 22. I didn't know, that he was going to be, but because it's just so hard to create relationships that feel that honest, that aren't like connected to like professional gains or even inspiration. Like, I just think you're dope. Let's be friends. Like, my number one criteria for a friend is you better make us laugh. We better laugh. If we don't laugh, girl, I don't know what.
Well,
I don't know what.
you've definitely made me laugh this
You ain't
past
bringing.
hour. So.
I remember my best friend Christina one year. I think we were like sophomores in high school, and there was a girl that like was kind of being a little funny in our group, and she was like, "That bitch don't even make us laugh. Like, why do we have her around?" And we were
And here
young,
you
but
are
like,
today.
yo, for real. Like, if we're not laughing, I don't care what you're doing for work. I don't care about jobs. Like, if you want to talk about that, that's great. Like, we love to inspire and talk about career, but like at the end of the day, we're here to laugh and heal and commune and eat and drink and take
I don't
care of
think we laugh
babies.
enough. I don't think we laugh enough, I have to
Girl,
say.
I laugh all day, every day. I have to.
Listen, anything that makes me laugh, like I've literally have you watched Kevin Hart's reality check on Peacock?
I haven't, but I feel like I should, right?
4 times. I've watched it 4 times. I just wanna
All
laugh
right.
sometimes. Just wanna laugh. We
Mm-hmm.
need we need that.
That's
So
why I
thank you
watch like The Office over and over again. Portlandia. Have you ever seen Portlandia? That is
I
one of
haven't
the
seen that one.
funniest shows of all time. There's
Portlandia.
like New Girl. Like, I have my
That's a great
shows.
show. That's a
Oh
great
my
show.
God, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Nothing's better than an ensemble show. Arrested Development, that got me through my 20s. Like, that show got me through my 20s. Shout out to Sam Laybourne, who was my high school English teacher, who also wrote for that show. He's great. But
Oh,
yeah,
your energy is like it's infectious. Like I could actually feel it. And um everything that I read about you and just listen to, like you are authentic. You are like true to
thank you,
yourself.
Yvette.
So thank you for that. And I as much as I don't want to end our interview, I know you're a busy lady. So I have a question for you that I ask every guest before we end. I like to end the interviews with some sort of advice, quote, mantra. And my question for you is, can you share some wisdom for anyone seeking to build their community, whether it's in their personal life or professional life?
I would say if you're seeking to build anything, it starts inside. Um, it
Mm.
starts with understanding what is going to bring you the most good and make you feel the best, because that is what radiates out and brings what you are looking for or what you need, because sometimes what you're looking for isn't even what you need. That's what brings that back to you. And I actually like I live by that philosophy. And it's actually the the foundation of something of a new brand that was not even new anymore because we've been working on it for so long, that my husband and me are launching, that was really inspired about getting back to myself, and it was in a moment of my life when it was right after having a baby and starting a business and being so busy and feeling empty. And I was putting out so much. There was so much output happening, and I was getting nothing back. Felt like I was running in place, and I realized, oh, you're freaking empty. How can you attract anything if you can't radiate out good? If you're not feeling good? right? And so, not to plug, but my brand Pumas, which is launching actually this month on the 21st, that's the foundation of it, right? It's practical, harmonious, and luxurious tools and resources to help you bring more good into your daily life, right? Like and again, I'll go back to women specifically, or anybody, entrepreneurs, creative people. We have so much going on in our brains, and we measure so much against what we do that we often forget to give to ourselves. And I think that's a philosophy that's been rooted in, America is a country based off of a Puritan mindset, which is work so hard that you fall, that you literally fall. Don't give to the poor, because then that means they won't work. So we are in, that's ingrained in who we are, is that just keep working, keep working, keep working. Get the house and the car and the dog and the 2.5 kids, and that's it, retire. And sure, if that's what you want to do, cool. But I think for us, for women, specifically for people of color whose ancestors have endured so much for us to end up being here, whether they wanted to be here or not, we owe it to them to live our true selves. Despite what some abuelos and abuelitas might think about your alternative career paths, they need to recognize that you're able to do that because of them, right? And so we owe it to ourselves to pour into ourselves so that we can radiate that energy off of people, so that they can see, one, how to treat you, right? That's very important. People treat you the way that you let them.
Absolutely.
And then two, how to get that energy. It's a pull, right? The laws of, I really truly believe in laws of attraction, and I'm not going to say like, go say a bunch of, like mantras and manifest your best life. That's not what I'm saying, because you got to put the work in, but you have to put the work in on yourself as well. I know that when I am depressed or exhausted or being mean to people, because I'm overwhelmed, that I'm going to get nothing. Nothing is going to come to me. And sometimes I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm just in that mood right now. So I don't care if I get nothing. This is how I need to be.
Sometimes you have to just sit in it.
I mean, depressed. I need to just lay in bed. That's what literally the last 9 months of my life have felt like. And oddly enough, yesterday I turned a corner, and a lot of people in my community turned a corner. I don't know if you turned a corner yesterday as well, but a lot of my friends felt renewed. And then Beyonce released the trailer of her film, and at the end she said, I have transitioned into a new animal. And I texted my girl Darian. I was like, bitch, we all on the same wavelength. Because that's how I feel today.
That's pretty interesting, because my girlfriend and I last night, we were talking about transitions.
I'm telling you.
So weird. I just thought of that. That is so weird.
This fourth quarter is crazy. I said, universe, show me how good it can get. Because like, I'm ready.
And I told her
I wasn't ready for anything this year.
I
was healing.
I told her we are in a space of transition, and I feel that there's a lot changing, and it's not that it's bad. It's actually good, but it's going to be painful.
I think for me, the pain happened, and now I'm on the other side. I think like the pain really, I mean, this year was the hardest year of my life. I had a baby 3 months early. It was supposed to be the best year of my business, and that's all I was thinking about, right? And I'm like wondering, is that why she came early? Because like I needed to get out of that mindset, to reshift, transition, turn into a new animal. I feel like the worst is over for you too.
Absolutely. I do.
I think if you've been paying attention, the worst is over. If you haven't been paying attention, then I can't help you. And that's probably how you've been your whole life. Whoever's listening.
Yes.
Sorry.
I literally got goosebumps. Zoila, you are You are just, oh my gosh, I wanna, like, jump through the screen. You're amazing.
Well, you're in New York. We'll hang out.
Absolutely, you got it. Can you please
Yeah.
share with our listeners how to find you? Because I'm sure people will want to
Yes.
find.
You can find me on the Instagram at Zoila Darton, ZoilaDarton, no dots or anything. I'm also on TikTok now.
Or
I'm just warning you. TikTok Zoila is silly. It's not,
but it's part of Zoila,
but
that's okay.
it's part of exactly. It's very much my probably my truest self is on TikTok.
That's
And
where we
that
gotta
is
go.
yeah, and that's also my full name. You can see our my me and my team's beautiful work, word.agency on Instagram, and that's our website as well. And then if you'd like to follow along with our new brand, Pumas, that is all about bringing more good into your daily life. It's a brand created for busy brains. That Instagram is pew.moss, PIU dot MAS. It means more plus in Italian and Spanish. So pew is more in Italian, plus mas is plus in Spanish. So that's where you can find me. And if you hit the email button on any of those channels, you'll also be able to get to me directly and reach out via email. Sometimes I can be slow, but I'll get to you back as fast
She's
as I
not slow,
can.
she's just super busy.
I'm not. You know what? I have to admit to you that it's not even that I'm super busy. It's just that I have come to a place in my life where like email is just not a priority for me anymore.
You girl, you're a mom of 2 babies, those are the priorities
But
right
it's
now.
also not like I'm not as pressed as I used to be to like write back to an email so quick.
You
I like,
have definitely transitioned. You're like, "Okay,
yeah, I'm
I
telling
am
you, it's
living my life
weird.
right now. Hold on."
Yeah, yeah. People
Zoila,
can email's
thank you
fine.
so much.
This was so fun, Yvette. Thank you so much. I can't
And
wait to hang in real life soon.
oh, oh, we will,
And shout out to
absolutely.
Joanna for bringing
Oh,
us
that's
together.
right.
Our
She's a
girl
connector.
Joanna.
She's a
She
connector.
is a true connector. She is a true connector.
And thank you, loves, for joining us on this amazing episode of AW Confidential. Talk to you soon.